The stars looked peaceful that night. Captain Tejo stood on the bridge of the sunrise and watched the endless darkness through the main window. His ship floated quietly in the empty space between two star systems. Everything seemed calm. Everything seemed normal. But Tejo knew better. He had been a captain for 15 years. He understood that space was never truly peaceful. It only waited for the right moment to show its true nature. The sunrise was not like other ships. It was humanity's newest and most powerful warship. The engineers back on Earth had spent 20 years building it. They had created something that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. The ship carried a fusion core weapon system that could destroy entire fleets in seconds. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Tejo turned away from the window and looked at his crew. Commander Yuna sat at the tactical station. Her eyes moved quickly across the screens in front of her. She was young, only 32 years old, but she was the smartest tactical officer Tejo had ever worked with. Her mind worked like a computer, always calculating, always planning. At the engineering station sat Dae-sung. He was a large man with thick arms and a gentle smile. He loved the sunrise more than anything else in the universe. He treated the ship like it was his own child. Every wire, every circuit, every piece of metal was precious to him. The rest of the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. There were 12 of them in total. Each one had been chosen carefully from thousands of candidates. They were the best that humanity had to offer. "Captain," Yuna said suddenly. Her voice was sharp. "I am detecting multiple ships approaching our position." Tejo walked over to her station. "How many?" 32 vessels. "They are coming from the Valari Empire sector." Yuna pressed several buttons on her console. "They will reach us in approximately 4 minutes." The Valari Empire was one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. They had existed for over 10,000 years. Their ships were advanced, and their warriors were feared across hundreds of star systems. They did not like humans. They had made that very clear many times before. "Are they hostile?" Tejo asked. Yuna checked her readings again. "Their weapons are powered up. They are in attack formation." Tejo felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. A captain could never show fear in front of his crew. "Send them a message. Tell them we mean no harm. We are only passing through this area." The communications officer sent the message. They waited. 1 minute passed. Then 2 minutes. No response came. "They are not answering," the communications officer said. Tejo nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Valari did not like to talk. They preferred to act. "Prepare the ship for battle. Raise shields. Power up all weapons." The crew moved quickly. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Red lights flashed on every deck. The sunrise came alive like a sleeping giant waking from a long dream. Dae-sung's fingers danced across his console. "Fusion core weapon system is ready, Captain. All systems are operating at full capacity." Yuna turned to look at Tejo. "Captain, we have never used the fusion core weapons in actual combat before. We have only tested them on empty asteroids." "I know," Tejo said, "but those Valari ships out there do not care about that. They want to destroy us. We have to defend ourselves." The Valari fleet appeared on the main screen. 32 warships, each one larger than the sunrise. They were shaped like long silver needles, sharp and deadly. Their weapons glowed with blue energy. They surrounded the human ship from all sides, leaving no path for escape. A voice came through the communication system. It was cold and filled with hate. "Human vessel. You have entered Valari space without permission. This is a crime that is punished by death. Prepare to be destroyed." Tejo pressed the button to respond. "This is Captain Tejo of the Earth ship Sunrise. We were not aware that we had crossed into your territory. We ask for peaceful passage. There is no need for violence." The Valari commander laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Humans are weak creatures. You do not belong among the stars. Today, we will send a message to your pathetic planet. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who dare to challenge the Valari Empire." The channel closed. Yuna looked at her captain. They are charging their main weapons. They will fire in 30 seconds. Taeho closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his home on Earth. He thought about his sister and her children. He thought about all the people who were counting on him to come back alive. Then he opened his eyes and made his decision. Fire the fusion core weapons, he said. Target all enemy vessels. Yuna hesitated for just 1 second. Then she pressed the button. What happened next changed everything. The sunrise released its power. Bright golden light shot out from the ship in all directions. It moved faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The light touched the first Valari ship and passed through it like it was made of paper. The ship exploded instantly. Then the second ship exploded. Then the third. The destruction spread across the Valari fleet like fire through dry grass. Ship after ship was torn apart by the golden light. The Valari had no time to react. They had no time to run. In exactly 12 seconds, all 32 warships were gone. Only burning pieces of metal remained, floating silently in the darkness of space. The bridge of the sunrise was completely quiet. No one spoke, no one moved. They all stared at the screen in shock. Daesung was the first to find his voice. That was not supposed to be that powerful. His hands were shaking. The tests showed only half of that destructive capability. Yuna checked her readings 3 times before speaking. All enemy vessels have been destroyed. We suffered 0 damage. 0. Taeho felt cold. He had expected the fusion core weapons to be strong. He had not expected this. They had just destroyed an entire fleet in seconds without even trying. The power of their ship was beyond anything he had imagined. Captain, the communications officer said quietly. Our battle was recorded. Several Valari probe ships escaped before the fight began. They transmitted everything to their homeworld. Taeho understood what that meant. Soon, the entire galaxy would know what had happened here. They would know that a single human ship had destroyed 32 Valari warships in seconds. They would know that humanity had created something terrible. He walked back to the main window and looked out at the debris field. Pieces of Valari ships floated past, like leaves in the wind. Thousands of alien warriors had died in those 12 seconds. Taeho did not feel proud. He felt afraid. Set a course for home, he said. We need to tell Earth what happened. As the sunrise turned and jumped into faster-than-light travel, Taeho could not shake the feeling that something bad was coming. The galaxy had just learned about the power of the human warship, and the galaxy would not forget. Far away, on 100 different worlds, alien leaders watched the recordings from the Valari probe ships. They watched the golden light. They watched the destruction. And they began to make plans. The humans had become a threat, and threats had to be eliminated. 3 weeks had passed since the battle. The sunrise had returned to Earth and was now orbiting the blue planet. Captain Taeho had given his report to the military leaders. They had listened carefully. They had asked many questions, and then they had told him to wait. Taeho did not like waiting. He preferred action. But he understood that the situation was complicated. The destruction of the Valari fleet had created problems that no one had expected. The news had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every civilization, every empire, every small colony had seen the recordings. They had watched a single human ship destroy 32 Valari warships in 12 seconds, and they were afraid. Commander Yuna spent most of her time in her quarters, studying the data from the battle. She wanted to understand exactly what had happened. The fusion core weapons had performed far beyond their expected limits. Something had changed during the actual fight. Something had made them more powerful. One evening, she called Taeho to her quarters. He found her sitting in front of multiple screens, her face pale and her eyes red from lack of sleep. You look terrible, Taeho said. Yuna did not smile. I found something, Captain. Something important. She pointed at the largest screen. It showed complex graphs and numbers that Taeho could not understand. He was a good captain, but he was not a scientist. Explain it to me simply, he said. Yuna took a deep breath. The fusion core weapons are connected to the ship's main reactor. During the battle, The reactor produced more power than it should have. Much more. It was like the ship itself wanted to survive. It pushed beyond its own limits. Teho frowned. Ships do not have wants, Yuna. I know. But there is no other explanation. She pulled up another screen. Look at this. The power increase happened exactly when the Valari weapons locked onto us. The ship sensed the danger and responded. This was strange news. Teho sat down heavily in a chair. Are you saying our ship is alive? Not alive, not exactly. But there is something inside the fusion core that we do not fully understand. The scientists who built it were working with new technology. Technology that came from an ancient artifact found on Mars. Teho remembered the stories. 30 years ago, humans had discovered strange ruins on Mars. Inside those ruins, they had found pieces of technology that were millions of years old. No one knew who had built them. No one knew what they were for. But humans had studied them and used them to create new inventions. The fusion core was one of those inventions. So we built a weapon using technology we do not understand. Teho said slowly. Yes, and now the galaxy knows about it. Before Teho could respond, an alarm sounded. A message came through his communication device. It was from the military command. Captain Teho, report to the council chamber immediately. There is an emergency. Teho and Yuna rushed to the council chamber on the orbital station above Earth. When they arrived, they found the room filled with military leaders and government officials. Everyone looked worried. Admiral Han stood at the front of the room. She was an old woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had led humanity's space forces for over 20 years. Teho respected her greatly. Thank you all for coming, Admiral Han said. I have received troubling news. Our intelligence agents have discovered a secret meeting taking place in the neutral zone between the Valari, Korath, and Mirren territories. The room became very quiet. The Valari, Korath, and Mirren were three of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. They had been enemies for thousands of years. They had fought countless wars against each other. The idea of them meeting peacefully was almost impossible to believe. What are they discussing? One of the officials asked. Admiral Han's face was grim. They are discussing us. They are discussing humanity. And they are discussing the sunrise. She pressed a button, and a recording began to play. It showed three alien figures sitting at a round table. One was a tall, silver-skinned Valari with cold eyes. One was a massive, four-armed Korath with thick armor covering its body. One was a small, floating Mirren that looked like a cloud of glowing particles. The Valari spoke first. The humans have developed a weapon that threatens all of us. We have seen what it can do. Our fleet was destroyed in seconds. The Korath made a rumbling sound. The Korath have been watching the humans for many years. We always thought they were weak. We were wrong. The Mirren's voice was soft and musical. The Mirren have studied the recordings. The human weapon uses energy patterns that we have never seen before. It is possible that they found something ancient, something that should have remained hidden. The Valari nodded. We cannot allow the humans to keep this weapon. If they use it against us again, we will all be destroyed. What do you propose? The Korath asked. The Valari leaned forward. We must work together. We must force the humans to give up their weapon. We must make them understand that they are not welcome in the galaxy if they refuse. The Mirren floated higher. You mean war? I mean pressure. Economic pressure. Political pressure. And if that fails, yes, military pressure. We have enough ships between our three empires to overwhelm even the human weapon. But we hope it will not come to that. The Korath slammed one of its four fists on the table. The Korath agree. The humans must be stopped. The Mirren was silent for a long moment. The Mirren do not like war. But we like extinction even less. We will join this alliance. The recording ended. The council chamber erupted in noise. People were shouting, arguing, demanding answers. Admiral Han raised her hand for silence. This alliance is unprecedented, she said. Three empires that have been enemies for 10,000 years are now united against us. They have thousands of warships. They control most of the galaxy's resources. They can cut off our trade routes, isolate our colonies, and strangle our economy. What do they want exactly? Teho asked. Admiral Han looked at him. They want the sunrise. They want us to destroy it and give them all our research on fusion core technology. They want to make sure we can never build another ship like it. And if we refuse, then they will declare us enemies of the galactic community. They will ban all trade with human worlds. They will treat any human ship as a hostile target. The room fell silent again. This was worse than war. This was complete isolation. Humanity had many colonies spread across the stars. Those colonies needed trade to survive. Without food, medicine, and supplies from other worlds, millions of humans would die. Yuna spoke up. Captain, may I say something? Teho nodded. Yuna stepped forward. I have been studying the sunrise since the battle. I believe there is more to our ship than we understand. The fusion core technology came from ancient ruins on Mars. The alien empires seem to know something about those ruins. The Mirren said that the technology should have remained hidden. What if they are afraid of something more than just a weapon? Admiral Han considered this. What are you suggesting, Commander? I am suggesting that we do not give them the sunrise. Not because we want to keep our power, but because we need to understand what we have found. There is a mystery here. A mystery that the alien empires want to keep buried. If we surrender now, we may never learn the truth. Teho felt proud of Yuna. She was brave to speak her mind in front of so many important people. Admiral Han nodded slowly. Your words have merit, Commander. But I cannot make this decision alone. The fate of humanity rests on what we choose to do next. Outside the station, the stars continued to shine. But in the darkness between those stars, alien fleets were gathering. Ships from 3 great empires were preparing for something that had not happened in 10,000 years. A united attack against a single enemy. And that enemy was humanity. The message came from the Galactic Council on the morning of the 7th day. It was broadcast to every human world, every station, every ship. There was no way to ignore it. There was no way to pretend it had not happened. Captain Teho stood on the bridge of the sunrise and watched the message play on the main screen. The speaker was a Valari diplomat, with smooth silver skin and empty black eyes. His voice was calm and cold. By the authority of the Galactic Council, representing the combined will of the Valari Empire, the Korath Federation, and the Mirren Collective, we hereby declare the following. All human fusion core weapon technology is now prohibited. The vessel, known as Sunrise, must be surrendered to Council forces within 30 standard days. Failure to comply will result in immediate economic sanctions against all human territories. Continued refusal will be considered an act of war against the galactic community. The message ended. The screen went dark. Daesung was the first to speak. Prohibited? They cannot just make our ship illegal. We did nothing wrong. We defended ourselves. Yuna shook her head. They can do whatever they want. They control the council. They make the rules. Teho said nothing. He just stared at the empty screen. His mind was racing with thoughts and questions. How had things changed so quickly? Just 1 month ago, humanity had been a small but respected member of the galactic community. Now they were being treated like criminals. His communication device buzzed. It was Admiral Han. Captain Teho, I need you at the emergency meeting. Bring Commander Yuna. We have difficult decisions to make. The emergency meeting took place in a secure room deep inside Earth's main military base. The room was filled with the most important people in human government. Presidents, generals, scientists, and diplomats all sat around a large table. Their faces showed fear, anger, and confusion. Admiral Han stood at the head of the table. You have all seen the message from the Galactic Council. We have 30 days to surrender the sunrise or face punishment. I want to hear your opinions. A diplomat named G1 spoke first. We should surrender the ship. The alien alliance is too powerful. We cannot fight them. If we give them what they want, maybe they will leave us alone. A general named Hyun slammed his fist on the table. Surrender? Never. We built the sunrise with our own hands. It belongs to us. If we give it up now, we show the galaxy that humans are weak. They will take more and more from us until we have nothing left. The argument continued for hours. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to surrender, some wanted to negotiate. No one could agree on anything. Finally, Taeho raised his hand. The room fell silent. Everyone wanted to hear what the captain of the Sunrise had to say. I have been thinking about this problem since the battle, Taeho said slowly. I have asked myself many questions. Why did the alien empires react so strongly? Why did three enemies become friends so quickly? The answer is fear. They are afraid of us now. They are afraid of what we might become. He paused and looked around the room. But I have also been thinking about something else. Commander Yuna discovered that our fusion core technology came from ancient ruins on Mars. The aliens seem to know something about those ruins. They are not just afraid of our weapon. They are afraid of where it came from. A scientist named Sumin nodded eagerly. I have studied the Mars ruins for 20 years. The technology we found there is incredible. It is far beyond anything we can understand. Whoever built those ruins was more advanced than any civilization in the current galaxy. Admiral Han leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Captain? Taeho took a deep breath. I am suggesting that we do not surrender the sunrise. Not because I want war. I hate war. But because there is something important happening here, something that the alien empires want to keep secret. If we give up now, we will never know the truth. The room exploded with voices again. Some agreed with Taeho. Others called him a fool. The argument went on and on. Finally, Admiral Han raised her hand for silence. We will put this to a vote. Those who believe we should surrender the sunrise, raise your hand. About half of the people in the room raised their hands. Those who believe we should refuse the Council's demand, the other half raised their hands. Admiral Han counted carefully. The vote is tied. Exactly equal. She turned to Taeho. Captain, you are the one who flies the sunrise. You are the one who will face the consequences of this decision. I believe you should be the one to break the tie. Every eye in the room focused on Taeho. He felt the weight of billions of lives pressing down on him. If he chose wrong, humanity could be destroyed. Families would die. Children would suffer. The thought was almost too heavy to bear. He thought about his sister back on Earth. He thought about her two young children who loved to watch the stars at night. He thought about all the humans who were counting on their leaders to protect them. Then he thought about the truth that was hidden somewhere in the galaxy. The truth that the alien empires were so desperate to keep buried. We refuse, Taeho said. We keep the sunrise. We find out what the aliens are hiding. The room erupted one final time, but the decision had been made. Admiral Han nodded and spoke loudly over the noise. It is decided. We will not surrender. But we also cannot stay here and wait for them to attack us. Captain Taeho, you will take the sunrise and leave human territory. The alien alliance will not be able to punish our colonies if they cannot find the ship. Taeho understood. He was being sent into exile. He would become an outlaw, hunted by the most powerful forces in the galaxy. I accept, he said. But I want to choose my crew. Only volunteers who understand what we are facing. Admiral Han agreed. 3 days later, the sunrise left Earth for the last time. Taeho stood on the bridge and watched the blue planet grow smaller on the screen. He wondered if he would ever see it again. The crew was smaller now. Only 50 people had volunteered to come. Yuna was there, of course. She would not leave Taeho's side. Daesung had also volunteered. He loved the sunrise too much to let her go without him. There was also a new face on the bridge. Dr. Ji-Yun was a scientist who had spent her entire life studying the Mars ruins. She was small and quiet, with glasses that were always falling down her nose. but her knowledge was invaluable. If anyone could help them understand the secrets of the fusion core technology, it was her. "Where do we go now, Captain?" Yuna asked. Taeho pulled up a star map on the main screen. Dr. Ji-yun believes there may be other ruins like the ones on Mars. Ancient places left behind by whoever built the fusion core technology. If we can find those places, we might find answers. "And if the alien fleets find us first?" Daesung asked. Taeho smiled grimly. "Then we show them what the sunrise can do." Act. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel and disappeared into the darkness of space. Behind them, the alien alliance was already mobilizing. Hundreds of warships from 3 empires were preparing to hunt them down. The galaxy had declared humanity's greatest weapon illegal. But Taeho had no intention of following that law. He had a mission now. A mission to find the truth. And nothing in the universe would stop him. The sunrise had been running for 18 days. 18 days of hiding, jumping from system to system, always staying one step ahead of the hunters. The crew was tired. The ship was tired, but they could not stop. Captain Taeho stood on the bridge and studied the star map. Red dots covered the screen like a disease. Each dot represented an enemy fleet. The Valari, Korath, and Mirren had spread their ships across 3 entire sectors. They were closing in like a net, slowly but surely. "They are getting closer," Yuna said. She sat at her station, dark circles under her eyes. "Every time we jump, they follow. Someone is tracking us." Daesung looked up from his engineering console. "That is impossible. Our stealth systems are the best in the galaxy. No one should be able to find us." Dr. Ji-yun spoke quietly from her corner of the bridge. "Unless they are not tracking the ship. Unless they are tracking the fusion core itself." Everyone turned to look at her. The small scientist pushed her glasses up her nose. "I have been studying the fusion core data. The energy it produces has a unique signature. A pattern that is different from anything else in the universe. If the alien empires have sensors that can detect this pattern, then they will always know where we are." Taeho finished. "No matter how far we run." Quote, the bridge fell silent. This was terrible news. They could not hide. They could not escape. Eventually, the enemy would catch them. Yuna broke the silence. "Then we stop running." Taeho looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean we use their fear against them." Yuna pulled up tactical data on her screen. "The Alien Alliance has many ships. But those ships come from 3 different empires. They have different technologies, different command structures, different ways of thinking. They are united by fear, not by trust." Taeho began to understand. "You want to break their alliance. I want to remind them why they were enemies for 10,000 years." Yuna smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "If we can make them doubt each other, they will fall apart. Fear brought them together. Fear can tear them apart." For the next 3 days, Yuna worked on her plan. She studied every piece of information they had about the 3 empires. She learned their histories, their cultures, their deepest hatreds. She found the cracks in their alliance and figured out how to make them bigger. On the 4th day, she presented her plan to the crew. The Valari believe they are the smartest beings in the galaxy. They think the Korath are stupid brutes. They think the Mirren are weak and cowardly. The Korath believe they are the strongest. They hate the Valari for always looking down on them. The Mirren believe they are the most peaceful. They joined this alliance only because they were afraid. Deep down, they do not trust the others. She pointed at the star map. There is a gathering of alliance ships in the Nexar system. 50 Valari ships, 40 Korath ships, and 30 Mirren ships. They are preparing for a major search operation. This is where we strike. Taeho raised an eyebrow. Strike? We are 1 ship against 120. We do not need to destroy them, Yuna said. We just need to confuse them. The sunrise arrived at the edge of the Nexar system 12 hours later. The enemy fleet was exactly where Yuna had predicted. 120 warships floating in formation, waiting for orders. Taeho looked at the massive fleet on his screen. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady. "Are you sure about this, Yuna?" "Trust me, Captain." Taeho nodded. "Begin the operation." The first phase was simple. The Sunrise broadcast a message on Korath military frequencies. The message was fake, designed to sound like it came from a Valari command ship. It said, "The Korath are too slow. We should attack without them. They will only get in our way." The Korath ships received the message. Their commanders became angry. At the same time, the Sunrise broadcast another fake message on Valari frequencies. This one sounded like it came from a Myran ship. It said, "The Valari are using us as shields. They plan to let us die first while they stay safe in the back." The Valari commanders read this message and looked at the Myran ships with suspicion. Then came the final message, sent to the Myran. It appeared to come from a Korath battle commander. It said, "After we destroy the humans, we will destroy the Myran next. They are too weak to live." The Myran ships began to move away from the Korath ships. Within 30 minutes, the perfect alliance formation had become a mess. Ships were moving without orders. Commanders were shouting at each other over communication channels. Accusations flew back and forth like weapons. "Now," Yuna said. Phase 2. The Sunrise jumped into the center of the enemy fleet. Alarms screamed on every ship. The alien commanders tried to respond, but they were confused and disorganized. Some ships turned their weapons toward the Sunrise. Others turned toward the ships beside them, afraid of betrayal. Taeho waited until every enemy weapon was locked onto them. Then he spoke to Daesung. "Fire the fusion core weapons. Low power. Wide spread." Daesung's fingers flew across his console. The Sunrise released a wave of golden light. It was not strong enough to destroy ships, but it was strong enough to disable their shields and weapons. 40 enemy ships went dark, their systems fried by the energy pulse. The remaining 80 ships panicked. The Korath commanders thought the Valari had attacked them. The Valari thought the Myran had betrayed them. The Myran thought everyone had turned against them. Ships started firing at each other. Yuna watched the chaos with satisfaction. Phase 3. We leave. The Sunrise jumped away just as the first Valari ship exploded under Korath fire. Behind them, the Alliance fleet was tearing itself apart. Ships that had been allies moments ago were now fighting to the death. 2 hours later, the Sunrise was safely hidden in a nebula far from the battle. The crew gathered on the bridge to hear the reports. 27 enemy ships destroyed, Yuna announced. Another 43 badly damaged, all from fighting each other. Daesung laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in weeks. "We did not even have to fire a real shot. They did our job for us." But Taeho did not smile. He was watching the long-range sensors. The dots representing enemy fleets were not disappearing. They were spreading out differently now. But they were still there. "This was a good victory," he said. "But it is only temporary. The Alliance will recover. They will learn from their mistake. Next time, they will be more careful." Dr. Ji-yun stepped forward. "Then we need to find the ruins before next time comes. I have been analyzing the fusion core energy patterns. I believe they point to a specific location, an ancient place that has been hidden for millions of years." She showed them a star map. A single point was highlighted in a distant, unexplored region of the galaxy. "This is where the technology came from," she said. "This is where we need to go." Taeho looked at the point on the map. It was far away. The journey would be dangerous. The enemy would surely follow them, but they had no choice. The truth was waiting for them somewhere in that distant darkness. "Set course," Taeho ordered. "Maximum speed." The Sunrise turned and flew toward its destiny. Behind them, the broken pieces of the Alliance fleet drifted in space. 100 alien commanders were demanding answers. The human ship had escaped again. But this time, it had done something worse than escape. It had shown the galaxy that the Great Alliance was not as strong as it seemed. The journey to the ancient ruins took 47 days. The Sunrise flew through regions of space that no ship had visited in thousands of years. The stars were different here, older, darker. Even the emptiness felt heavy with secrets. Captain Tae-ho spent most of his time on the bridge, watching the endless darkness pass by. He could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. Not by the alien alliance. Something else, something much older. Dr. Ji-yeon barely slept during the journey. She spent every hour studying the fusion core data, trying to understand what they would find at their destination. The patterns were becoming clearer to her. They were like a language, she said. A message left behind by whoever had created the technology. On the 47th day, they arrived. The place was not what anyone had expected. It was not a planet. It was not a station. It was a structure, a massive ring of metal floating in empty space, so large that the sunrise looked like a tiny insect beside it. The ring was ancient. Its surface was covered with strange symbols that glowed with soft golden light. The same golden light that powered the sunrise's weapons. "This is it," Ji-yeon whispered. "This is where everything began." Yuna ran scans of the structure. "I am detecting power sources inside. The ring is still active after millions of years. The technology is incredible." Tae-ho made a decision. "We go inside. Prepare a landing team." The team consisted of Tae-ho, Yuna, Ji-yeon, and 4 security officers. They took a small shuttle and flew through an opening in the ring's surface. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with machines and devices that no one could understand. Ji-yeon walked through the chamber with tears in her eyes. "This is beyond anything I imagined. These machines could change everything. Medicine, energy, transportation. With this technology, we could solve every problem humanity has ever faced." Yuna was more cautious. "Or create new problems. Remember what our fusion core did to the Valari fleet." They moved deeper into the structure. The golden symbols on the walls grew brighter as they walked, as if the ring was waking up after a long sleep. Finally, they reached the center of the ring. There, floating in the air, was a sphere of pure light. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat, and inside the light, they could see something. A figure. A shape that was almost human. But not quite. The shape spoke. Its voice filled the chamber without coming from any direction. "You have come. After so long, someone has finally come." Tae-ho stepped forward. "Who are you? What is this place?" The figure moved closer. Now they could see it more clearly. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. But its body was made of the same golden light that powered the sunrise. "I am what remains of the builders," the figure said. "My people created this technology millions of years ago. We spread it across the galaxy, hoping to help younger civilizations grow and prosper." Ji-yeon gasped. "The ruins on Mars. The fusion core technology. You left it for us to find." "Yes. But something went wrong." The figure's light flickered with sadness. "The civilizations we tried to help became afraid of our gifts. They feared the power we had given them, so they destroyed us. They hunted down every builder they could find. They erased our history from the galaxy's memory. They told themselves that they were protecting the future." Yuna understood. "The Valari, the Korath, the Miran, their ancestors killed your people. Their ancestors and many others. The civilizations that exist today were built on the bones of the builders. They have spent millions of years hiding the truth. They fear that if anyone discovers what they did, everything will change." Tae-ho felt anger rising in his chest. "So when humans found your technology on Mars, they became afraid we would learn the truth." "Yes, the current empires will do anything to keep their secrets safe. They declared your ship illegal not because it was powerful, but because it reminded them of what they did, of what they are." The figure floated down until it was at eye level with Tae-ho. "But you came here. You did not give up. You chose to seek the truth instead of accepting lies." "What do you want from us?" Tae-ho asked. "I want you to share the truth with the galaxy. I want you to tell everyone what really happened. The empires have controlled history for too long. It is time for that to end. Tejo thought about this. It was a heavy responsibility. If he broadcast the truth, the galaxy would be thrown into chaos. Governments would fall. Wars might start. But the lies would finally end. Before he could answer, alarms began to sound on the shuttle outside. Yuna checked her communication device. Captain, the alien alliance has found us. A combined fleet of 200 ships has just entered the system. They will reach us in 30 minutes. The figure of light spoke again. They have come to destroy this place. They have done it many times before. They find our ruins and burn them to nothing. They cannot allow the truth to survive. Tejo made his decision. We will not let them. Dr. Ji-Yun, can you copy the information stored in this structure? Ji-Yun nodded eagerly. Give me 20 minutes. Yuna, return to the sunrise. Prepare the ship for battle. Yuna hesitated. Captain, 200 ships. I know. But we have something they do not have. Tejo looked at the figure of light. We have the truth. 25 minutes later, the sunrise flew out of the ancient ring and faced the massive alien fleet. 200 warships from 3 empires, all focused on one small human vessel. The Valari commander sent a message. Human ship, you have trespassed on forbidden territory. Surrender now, and you will be given a quick death. Refuse, and we will make you suffer. Tejo did not respond to the threat. Instead, he opened a communication channel to every ship in the fleet. And not just the fleet, he broadcast on every frequency, to every station, to every world in the galaxy. My name is Captain Tejo of the human ship Sunrise. I have discovered the truth about the galaxy's history, the truth that the great empires have been hiding for millions of years. He told them everything. He told them about the builders, about the gifts they had tried to share, about how the ancient civilizations had destroyed them out of fear, about how the current empires were built on lies and murder. The alien commanders screamed at him to stop. They fired their weapons, but the Sunrise's shields held. Dae-Sung had pushed the fusion core to its maximum power. The ship glowed like a small star. The broadcast continued. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched and listened. They heard the truth for the first time in millions of years. When Tejo finished speaking, he gave one final order. Ji-Yun, release the data packages. The Sunrise sent copies of all the builder records to every major world in the galaxy. Libraries, universities, news stations. Everyone received the evidence. The truth could no longer be hidden. The alien fleet attacked with everything they had. 200 ships poured fire onto the Sunrise. But the little human ship refused to die. It danced through the barrage. Its fusion core weapons striking back with precise, devastating blows. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Sunrise was badly damaged. Half its crew was injured. But it was still alive. And the alien fleet had lost over 100 ships. More importantly, the truth was free. Over the following weeks, everything changed. The alien empires faced rebellion from their own people, who demanded answers about the Builder genocide. The alliance against humanity collapsed as each empire blamed the others. Trade routes reopened. Sanctions ended. The Sunrise returned to Earth as heroes. Crowds gathered to welcome them. Tejo stood on the bridge and watched his home planet grow larger on the screen. He thought about everything they had been through, everything they had sacrificed. Yuna stood beside him. What happens now, Captain? Tejo smiled. Now we build. We use what the builders left us to make the galaxy better. Not through fear. Through hope. The human warship had been too strong. The galaxy had conspired to make it prohibited. But in the end, the real power of the Sunrise was not its weapons. It was the courage of its crew to seek the truth, no matter the cost. And that kind of power could never be prohibited.